Good morning, true crime friends. Wait, can you even hear me? I don't even have my earphones in. Lord, these dogs are gonna start barking. Okay, so look, last night I'm up and I'm on the Twitter, also known as X, but I have to keep calling it Twitter because whatever, I can't be doing all these kinds of things. So, it turns out there's a whole bunch of people over there and they're talking. Do you know about this? Have you seen this thing, the Twitter? Listen, I know that it exists. I know that Elon Musk runs it. I heard that he's the devil child. I don't know. I don't have them kind of facts. But so people were talking over on Twitter, and I happened to click on it because my name came up. And anytime my name comes up, I'm like, What? I'm full prairie dog, like, So folks were talking about, I don't know, something I said. You know about me. Listen, I spent a lot of time talking and not any time at all listening to what I said. I never play these back unless I'm making like the little clips, aka commercials, because we all know them little shorts. Them are just commercials so people can find you. So anyway, I'm over there on the Twitter and people were like, oh, that Kathy, she's hilarious. And I was like, oh, there's another funny Kathy. Who? Where? And it turned out they were talking about me. So I was trying to find the clip they were referring to. Well, you know, I couldn't find it. I was like, I don't know. I don't know how Twitter works. And so then I saw it and I was like, oh yeah, I might have said that allegedly because y'all not pinning nothing on me, even though it's a video. Who you gonna believe, me or your lying eyes? Because that might have not been me. That might have been somebody else pretending to be me. But it turns out I made a comment about our friend DMM. Y'all know DMM, Discount Mandy Madney. Hey, Jen Wood, nobody tag her in this. So anyway, my whole thing is this. I have manners. I was raised right to talk behind people's backs. You're not supposed to talk to people's faces. Listen, when you in people's faces, you say, hey, girl, how you doing? It's so good to see you. How's your mom and them? How's your kids? Good. And then that person walks away. You like, you know her husband wants to be a woman, right? Or whatever. You know, whatever. So I was like, what they saying behind me? I should just leave these people to talk behind my back in peace because, you know, manners. But then I was reading through the little comments and stuff, and the comments are funny. They gave me a little giggle before I was going to bed. And then I saw it. Somebody by the name of SC Reporter was reading, and I was like, wait, is that Jen Wood? Is Jen Wood reading me talking trash? And then it occurred to me, there are probably other reporters in South Carolina that are not Jen Wood and Mandy Madney and Liz Farrell? What's Liz's last name? Liz? Anyway, I don't know that much about South Carolina. I mean, frankly, I don't pay that much attention. But I was like, oh, might she stalk me? Might she knife me in the eye? I don't know. Might I be a true crime? Also, people in South Carolina can hear me? I don't know. It just never crossed my mind. In my mind, I'm sitting here talking to you, just me and you. You over there in Nebraska or Iowa or Alaska. You know I don't know difference in them states because it's all like over there. And I was like, I should maybe watch my mouth. I don't know that I have the power to do that. I mean, I guess you also have to have the willingness, but I'm high on like the need to talk and low on the need to like edit myself. So I'm like, child, I need to stick to just true crime because I be saying stuff. And then people are like, oh, remember that thing you said? And I'm like, that was not me. It was not me. In similar news, I was looking online for a friend of mine's husband has like a press thing coming out today, which kind of happens all the time because I have a lot of friends who have like, you know, big businesses and whatever. And so I Google her husband's name. I'm not going to say no names at all. She will know who she is. And if you don't know who you are, Google your husband's name and see what comes up. And so her husband's name came up in association with a murder. And I was like, do I need to warn my friend? Is her husband a killer? Oh my God. Turns out her husband's name is the same name as this dude from Canada who killed his in-laws. And since this girl's parents are still alive, I think, I was like, oh, that's probably not her. So then, of course, you know, I fell down a rabbit hole. And I was reading all the stories about this killer from Canada. He's the sleepwalk killer. I would say his name, but child, I'm not trying to put nobody on blast like that now that I know that people can see this. So, just Google the sleepwalk killer from Canada and you'll know who I'm talking about. So I'm reading it and I was like, wait, does she know? Do I need to? And so then I kept listening to the articles or whatever. And it was like, yeah, after this dude sleepwalked, like legitimately sleepwalked and then drove to her parents' house and killed them, they stayed married for another couple of years, and then they got divorced. And the psychologist or whatever was like, yeah, it seems like that put a strain on their marriage. You think? You kill my mom and daddy, we're not going to have a good time. I'm just saying, that's going to cause some tension in the marriage. Every time I'm like, stirring a stew, I'm like, this is my mama's recipe. She used to enjoy making it for you till you killed her. I would have bitterness. You know, some women like can't let things go. I pride myself on being a woman who can let things go. I pride myself on being a good wife. I've been with the same man for a whole bunch of years. Can't tell you how many, but a lot, because I'm not good with numbers. We've been together since 2021. So however many years that is. There's math involved, child. I can't be out here doing public math. So, but I'm like, I've had to let a lot of things go. Not cheating, not messing up my money, not talking to me crazy, not treating my children bad. And you know what else is on that list? Not killing my parents. I'm just saying. One of my parents is on the other side of glory, and may he rest in peace. But if my spouse killed my parents, that's it. There's no amount of marriage counseling that's gonna make that okay for me. It's just not. I'm picky like that. People put up with all kinds of things in their relationships, and good for them. They ain't got nothing to do with me. In marriage news, child, jail phone calls are out for Shirley Strawberry and her husband Ernesto. So you know, I was like, I need to go to bed early so that I can have all my beauty sleep and then get to the gym and do all things I need to do. But then I saw these jail phone calls and I was like, what do you want me to do? There are jail phone calls out here in the world that I obviously have to listen to every single one of them. This is what I learned. Okay, first of all, for the uninitiated, Shirley Strawberry is the sidekick of Steve Harvey of the Steve Harvey Morning Show and Family Feud and whatever. So like, here's the thing. And on the real, Black people know Steve Harvey from like way back from the Steve Harvey Show. And everybody else is like, oh, that's that dude from Family Feud. So people who know Shirley Strawberry from like way back. So I remember when Steve Harvey was doing a Strawberry Letter with Jackie, whatever her name is, that bitter old woman who couldn't get her man. Anyway, so Steve Harvey has Shirley Strawberry with the Strawberry Letter, and they give all this advice, right? And so they read the letter. Dear Steve and Shirley, my husband, cheated and now he's in jail. Whatever the letter says. It's all different letters. They've been doing it for 25 years. And then Shirley gives the sensible, calm advice, and Steve gets the comedy advice. And it's very, very funny. There's even a podcast called the Strawberry Letter Podcast. It's too many commercials, but it's also very funny. So I'm like, everybody knows Aunt Shirley gives good sound advice, except for when it comes to her own life, apparently. Now, Shirley was single for many, many years. She has a daughter named Kenzie. I don't know. Seemed like start with a K, but I could be wrong on the letter. Anyway, so she has this daughter. She was a single parent. She had her daughter late in life. And by late in life, she was like over 40. It's not that late, but it's too late for me. So anyway, she had this baby a little bit later. She only had one. And so, of course, this child is like her pride and joy. Fine. Sheridan. That's her daughter's name. Sheridan. They don't even start with a K. Anyway, so she has Sheridan, and Sheridan's like her pride and joy, whatever. And she met this dude, Ernesto. His name is Ernest Williams, like regular Black dude, Ernest Williams. He is not Spanish. I don't know where Ernesto came from, but okay, whatever. So anytime I saw Ernesto, which it was not that often, like facts, I barely saw the man, but I was like, okay, there's Ernesto, Shirley Strawberry's husband, the Black man with the Spanish name. So, yeah, I was like, okay, he's very put together, dapper, businessman, whatever, right? So when I heard he was in jail, I was like, how did that even happen? Shirley girl, you got you an ex-con, a current con? What is happening? So when the news first came out that Nesto was locked up, well, I had to do a deep dive. Turns out, Nesto has a long rap sheet. People say that Steve introduced Shirley and Nesto. That's not true. Sure, because I did the research, because this is the kind of research I really, really care about. Like the deficit and the budget and politics, no thank you. But who's married to who and why? Oh yeah, I got all the facts. So Shirley's friend introduced her to Nesto, and he was an entrepreneur down there in Atlanta. Okay, Cool. And so the friend was like, I know y'all gonna be a good couple. And they met and they got together. And it's like, oh, I love you, whatever. And so when he went to propose to her, he proposed on the Steve Harvey show one morning. And so I was like, okay, they've been dating for a year. And Steve helped set up the proposal. And Sheridan, the daughter, helped set up the proposal. And it was real cute. But something about that proposal was not right to me. So they had a caller call in and was asking Steve all these questions. And Shirley's on the air with her little earphones on and she's listening to the call, but really not listening. And she does not recognize the voice of the caller. And Steve is asking questions like, will you love her forever? Would you forsake all others? Would you blah, blah, blah? And this dude is like, yep, I sure would. And then finally Steve says, Shirley, that's your man. And she's like, what? And she went all prairie dog like, So, I was like, how you not recognize your man's voice? Listen, if my husband snores, I'm like, baby, is that your snore? I recognize my husband's voice. I recognize my dog's bark. I recognize my children's cry. Somebody says, mama, I'm like, no, that's not how my baby say mama. So anyway, I was like, she didn't even recognize it. Okay, whatever. They got married. They've been married for a while. Oh, they Instagram famous. Oh, they all up in the fancy cars and at the events. They look good together. And I am not hating on a good marriage. Good for you, child. They hard to come by and they hard to keep. Well, they're not that hard to keep because mine feels easy, but maybe I'm an outlier, child. I don't know. So I was like, okay, cute. She got herself a nice marriage after all this time. That's good for her. And then, child, we find out that Nesto runs a 24-hour barbershop for celebrities. I was like, oh, okay, cool. He's in the male grooming space. But he's only had that barbershop since 2015. Okay. You in your 60s. So what was you doing prior to 2015? Oh, you were prison, you say. Okay. And now listen, if your beloved has a former life of crime and they have changed their life around, that is fantastic. But for me, your life of crime needs to be a distant memory, more distant than 2015. I'm just saying. But okay. And so he's out here and they have a beautiful mansion and they doing whatever. And then his business partner moves in next door. Great. All the better to do business with. But then they stop paying rent. Nesto and the business partner stop paying rent. You know Shirley ain't know nothing about that, right? You know and I know Shirley ain't know nothing about that. So I was like, interesting. And then the police start investigating like, how come this heifer ain't paying her rent? And so they start digging into their business practices and they found all kinds of fraud. And then trigger warning about Pedialites, because come to find out, the Mr. Nesto can we say PIMP over here on the YouTubes? Because he was a courier of human bodies. I think you could say trafficking child. I'm not trying to get, kicked off the internet, but he was doing bad things. He was doing very bad things. And I'm like, okay, it's bad enough if you're a courier, a trafficker of adults. Turns out he has a scandalous past with children. His victim list includes Sheridan, Shirley's child, and Shirley's grandchildren, his own children. How is he still living? How is this not a true crime? Shirley girl, how you didn't stab him in the eye? I'm just saying. Listen, we here at Gossip Rumor and the Innuendo, we obviously do not support unaliving people unless you absolutely have to. Now, if you do something to my child or my grandchild, that is justifiable homicide. That's self-defense. I'm a defense against you right in the eye with a very sharp object over and over again until you cease twitching on my floor. I'm just saying. So I'm like, okay. She's clearly more understanding than me. But maybe I'm difficult to live with. Okay, I will die on that cross. Fine. I might be difficult to live with. You know what that's called? Standards. You can't just be over here saying and doing anything to my children. It's a whole bunch of people I don't even allow around my children or in my house. The list of people that I don't deal with is long. The list of people who've been to my house is short. You know why? Because you're not messing up my energy. You're not messing up my space. I don't need you over here. I'm happy to just wave hi to you as I pass you on the street. But you come up in here and you all inside my private spaces. And by private spaces, I just mean like my living room or my kitchen or something. And then you do something to my child. They would need to put him in protective custody because I would have to work my networks or whatever. Listen, my husband knows some people from his childhood who might frequent jails or whatever. I would be like, baby, who you know over there in the whatever, the Coweta County Jail, whatever it is. Because we would have to end him. So all of that to say, the jail phone calls are out. I could spend all of my time all day, every day, just being nosy, listening to folks' jail phone calls. So first couple phone calls. First of all, Nesto been locked up for over a year. Shirley ain't said a word. Shirley over there on the Steve Harvey Morning Show just giving good advice. Yes, I think what you should do, and I think it's common sense, and blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, back at the house, she's like, this son of a... So she's moved out of the house that they lived in together, and I can't blame her. Somebody gonna need to cleanse that space. If it was my house, y'all would need some peroxide to wash the blood off the walls, but I'm just saying. So anyway, and Clorox has a product that does just that. Just so that you know, in case you like skin a knee or have to knife somebody in the eye. I'm just saying. We do not advocate violence here at Gossip, Rumor, and Innuendo. So the calls came out, right? And so Shirley has moved into her new house and she's saged the space. I would need to sage my body, including my hoo-ha, because you know he been all up in there. But turns out he been all up in everybody else's stuff too, because So the jail phone call, she's like, oh, hey, how you doing? She sounds all soft and docile. And I was like, ooh, she has not called him an MF yet. Do they bleep that out of the call? Because that's what my whole call would be if I found out that my spouse did something, my partner, whoever, did something to my child. They must have bleeped that part out because I don't understand. For the life of me, I do not understand how she was not calling him at his name every single moment of that call. But she didn't. So, okay, good for her. Maybe she's a Christian or something. That's not me. My heathen behind. So anyway, so he calls and she's just like, hey, and it's like global tel link, you have a prepaid call from, and he says, Nesto. And I was like, girl, how you not hang up right there? Okay, so they take that. She's like, yeah, hey, I'm good. How you doing? Fine. And they have like a little chatty conversation about nothing. And I was like, what the next phone call say? The next phone call doesn't come for like several weeks, maybe a couple of months. And I'm like, oh, she's not talking to him like that. Okay, got you. The next phone call was just like a lot of nothing. Okay, the third phone call now is his phone call, not her. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna need you to put some money on my book. Can you give her the money and tell her to put the money on my books? Cause, she's not answering my call. And I was like, oh, here we go. Shirley must have got all the facts and details. She not putting money on your books? You locked up for over a year? He's like, yeah, she not taking my call right now. Old girl got mad. Oh, you calling me old girl now? Listen, you won't have a Cheeto, not a beef stick, not a nothing. I would have cut you off long before based on the strength of you looked at my babies wrong. But he's like, yeah. Old girl in California, talk to old girl, whatever. Also, how he sound like a hood ninja all of a sudden? I'm like, oh, before, when you saw him with Shirley on the red carpet with Steve and them, he was like, ladies and gentlemen, blah, 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 blah. Very smooth. He sound like an old country dude. I was like, okay, Mr. Nesto. I see the real you. He was talking all this mess. Now, if I heard the calls, you know Miss Shirley heard the calls. And he was like, yeah, she being cheap. She ain't putting nothing on my books. You know what she not putting nothing on? You know all your stuff in a bonfire in the backyard, right? The Goodwill, all them nice suits, all they down at the Goodwill. They down at the Salvation Army, all these men who need jobs, formerly homeless or whatever. They wearing your clothes. And it would have been a big bonfire where I set all your stuff on fire, waiting to exhale style. But that's just me. We don't advocate arson here at Gossip, Rumor, and Innuendo unless you really need to do it. And sometimes you really need to do it. And Miss Shirley, girl, you need a bonfire. You need a bonfire worse than anybody I've ever seen in my life. But anyway, only including his stuff. And I might even throw my wedding ring in the pile. But you know, she probably paid for that ring herself. But so anyways, but I ain't trying to throw away my money. Although, it's an excellent chance I will hock anything you had of value and just burn the rest. Again, we don't advocate hocking other people's stuff here at Gossip, Rumor, and Innuendo unless you really need to. So I'm listening to these calls, and it is clear that they are estranged. And he had like a benefactor who put up his $800,000 bond, but he still ain't get out. You got so many charges that somebody was willing to put up all this money, and you still could not get out. Steve, save your money. He not worth it. He is not worth it. He was like, yeah. She was gonna put up her house. Oh, that must have been found before she got the details. I wish I would put up my house. I wouldn't put up a tree house to get this sucker out of jail. This whole thing had me so heated. Is it my business? No, absolutely not. None of this is my business. It has nothing to do with me, which is why I'm talking about it. I was just like, oh, no. This boy is out of his mind, clean out of his mind. But also, I want to hear the rest of the calls. I think I need to hear the rest of the calls. Again, it's none of my business, but I kind of need to know all of the details, every single last one. And finally, on the topic of domestic relationships, there's this crazy girl over here in Ohio. She was 17 years old at the time of the crime. She's 19 now. But this is what is curious about the media. This girl was clearly a little nuts, and so she got in a car accident. And I'm like, okay, that's sad. And then come to find out, she intentionally sped up her car to 100 miles an hour and ran it into a brick wall, trying to unalive herself and her boyfriend. In the end, she unalived her boyfriend and his best friend, and she's still alive. That don't seem fair. But anyway, so she was just, and how did she end up being alive? But anyway, so she went to trial. She was like, I'm very sorry, whatever. But come to find out, she had a bench trial. Like, that's just the judge, no jury. And she had like looked at places she could go do this crime and stalked it out and threatened to do it many, many, many times. Friends, if you were in a toxic relationship, whether you're a teenager or whether you were grown up, running your car into the wall is not an advisable path. But she just kept saying, I could run this car into a wall. I could run this car. I could crash this car right now. How's he still dating her? Y'all need what does them hold? Those, that kind of hold where 5150. She needed 5150. Meanwhile, her parents are like, we know you're innocent, Mackenzie. Mackenzie is guilty. Mackenzie guilty as sin. Now, the papers said, by paper, I mean the Google. The Google said, oh, she got 2 consecutive life sentences. And I was like, huh. And then I watched the sentencing, and it was like, she could have gotten life sentences. What she got was like 15 years for each of the homicides, and they like did them consecutive. So basically 30 to life. She's 19 years old now. That's a long time to be in jail. Nobody deserves it more than her. Not nobody, but few people deserve it more than her. And her parents are like, we love you, Kenzie. We know this was an accident. This was not an accident. This was her own purpose. And Kenzie need to go over there and sit her behind down next to Susan Smith and Lori Vallow Daybell and all those other assorted random killers. And enjoy prison, because she gonna be good and grown when she get out. In her 50s, who was I at 17 versus who I am as a 50-year-old? Like, that's a whole lot of difference. I'm hoping that she has time to sit with the nice psychologist, psychiatrist, whatever, get all the help she needs, because nobody deserves, few people deserve prison as much as her. She earned that. The judge didn't give that to her. She fought hard. This girl, Mackenzie, whatever her name is, she fought very hard to put herself in prison, and now she's in prison. I do not feel sorry for her. I will not be at the Free Kenzie rally. You can't get one nickel of my money for the GoFundMe, nothing. Girl, you need to sit down and shut up. On the topic of shutting up, I should probably do the same thing, because you know I got to go to the gym. Oh, look, all my bloating is gone. I was very bloated last week. I was looking at myself in these videos, and I was like, ooh, hate that girl. Where you been? So, yes, I'm having an inappropriate relationship with cookies, but last week that was just bloat. So I need to go to the gym, because, you know, I'm trying to keep it tight and right, be snatched and get the, you know, the boobs high. Anyway, so, I have no idea what I talked about this morning. Oh, wait. One last thing. So yesterday, y'all know I spent my day over there on the 13th Juror, right? Brandy Churchwell's channel. Hey, Brandy. So, Brandy started talking this other language. And I was like, what is this she's talking about? Because I have no idea what she's saying. She was speaking Southern, and I don't speak Southern. And she was talking about a pine owl. I don't pine. She said, sound to me like she said pine owl. And I was like, what's a pine owl? Apparently that's a pine isle, which Okay, I love it when she speaks Southern, and I think they should have daily just like a Southern as a second language section so we can learn Southern things. And I was like, what is this have to talk about? I don't know what she's talking about. And then she said something about a pitchfork. Did y'all know pitchforks were real? She's like, you didn't think pitchforks were real? No, I did not think. Where would I have run into a pitchfork? Here in the suburbs of North Jersey. You think we just got pitchforks laying around? You know, we also don't have live goats, chickens. I mean, some people do, but not me, because they stink and I enjoy eggs and I enjoy chicken, but like not like that. But pitchforks are a thing. People actually own them. Even at the Home Depot, I have never in my life seen a pitchfork. Never seen one. I do not know where you get the Farm and Fleet. I don't know that I've ever been in a Farm and Fleet, but I've heard of it. And now I don't even know where I heard of it. Up by my son's school, they have a tractor something in supply. I don't know. I wonder if they carry them. Now I'm like, what other farm implements existed I did not know about? Do they still have butter churns? Does Brandy know how to use one? Brandy girl, you know how to churn butter? What's funny is that of my friends, I'm the country one. Because I'm from Indiana. Yes, I have not lived there in 30 years, but I know things. I recognize certain things, just not pitchforks. And so I was like, legitimately, if you are a pitchfork owner or user, I kind of need to see it. Do they still look like they used to look like back in that American Gothic with that? I am fascinated. And as a cultural exchange, maybe on a daily basis, if Miss Brandy will agree to show us a country thing, I will show her a city thing or teach her a city word. Today's word is bodega. A bodega is a corner store that they have in New York City. It's a corner store, even though sometimes the corner store is in the middle of the block. The bodega is small, and there's a cat that lives inside to kill all the mice, and there's a ton of stuff stacked up to the ceiling, and the cat is roaming around, and you can get literally anything you need in your life to live in the city. You could get some groceries, not good ones, but they're there. You can get ice cream. You could get yourself a can of beer. In some bodegas, you could even get some weed. Bodega, whose root word is bo of dega. I don't know where the word came from, but it's like in the country, it would be like a 7-Eleven or a Wawa, only much smaller with everything crammed together. And they're not all owned by the same corporation. A bodega is like a mom and pop shop, teeny, but has everything. I will post a picture in the community section of a bodega. Hopefully I can find one with a bodega cat. There you are, your cultural exchange word for the day. Now I really have to go to the gym, and I will talk to you later. Bye.